What is up, everyone? It's David. Welcome back to Gem and MTG, where we talk about graded Magic the Gathering cards. Today is a very special day. I'm really excited to talk with this new addition to my collection, a couple of new additions to my collection that are really special that I've been working toward for a very long time. So, for those of you who have been following this channel for a while, I did a video about how I purchased 3 unlimited Moxen. The Emerald, the Jet, and the Ruby. I purchased all of these cards in played condition, and to my surprise, I was actually able to find a number of cards that I felt like were undervalued for the condition that they were in. So I purchased those cards, and I got them graded, and I got each of these in around $2,000 each. That was a couple years ago. These are starting to cost a little more, but they've dipped down again, and that is why I have continued to purchase unlimited power cards. I stopped for a while because the prices were getting crazy, and then soon enough, before you know it, the market takes another turn, and it gives us an opportunity to do things that we thought we were never going to do. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to finish this set, but you know what? I did. I got the Mox Sapphire and the Mox Pearl. I now have a full set of the unlimited Moxes. This, to me, represents a lot more than just cardboard. I've been playing Magic the Gathering for a very long time, ever since I was a young kid, and owning cards like this is something that I honestly never really thought that I was going to have the opportunity to do. And it took a few years. This is not something that I just decided to overnight buy. Not that easy at all. This took a few years. My first one was about 3 years ago. So over the last 3 years, I've worked on trading in, trading up, investing, saving, and just one at a time, slowly picking them off. I think that unlimited Moxen, or just unlimited power in general, is one of the best opportunities and one of the most undervalued things in Magic right now. Cards like this are so special. No matter who you are in Magic, for the most part, this is the ultimate card. These are the ultimate cards that you can get. Power 9, Moxes, the Blue Power, and the Black Lotus. That is the blue chip ultimate cards that you can own. And in my opinion, what everybody should strive for to get is, some people like other high-end vintage cards, and you could substitute unlimited Moxes for, Library of Alexandria, or the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, or Mishra's Workshop, or things like that. But those really high-end blue chip cards that just have such a special history and place in the game, I think are one of the best opportunities for people right now with the market the way that it is. Things have started to come down in price quite a bit, and people are, while other people are running scared, I am dropping large sums of money into these cards because every time this happens, a few months or a couple years go by, and then that next leg up happens, and it leaves you in the dust. It's happened to me so many times before with power cards like this that I didn't want it to ever happen again, and I wanted to, finally fulfill my dream of owning all of the Moxes, and I am so happy that I did it. It's just cardboard, yeah, but it also represents a lifetime of thinking about what you want and working towards it and putting in, a lot of effort to make it happen. I was able to trade in some revised dual lands along with cash. Those revised dual lands I had purchased at a very low price in the last time there was a market crash like this. I bought a bunch of revised dual lands. When those went up in value, I started selling them or trading them in for credit. And one of the things that I did was get this Mox Pearl. I sold a few dual lands, so my cost basis on this Pearl is about $2,500. Um, and like I said, I got each of these I'm sorry, the ruby, the emerald, and the jet. Got all those for around 2,000. And then the sapphire, I actually just picked up not that long ago. There was an eBay auction for a 6.5 graded mock sapphire, perfectly centered, nice clean edges. And I said, you know what? This is the last one of the set. It's in a relatively good grade. Good enough to fit my set, that is. You know, are these gem mints? No. But you know what? Every single one of these is authentic. Every single one of these is real. There's no inking. There's no damage to the card. There's no question of their authenticity. Every single one of these is a genuine, beautiful piece of unlimited power. I bid for the win, and I won the auction. And you know what's crazy is there was only, I think, 2 or 3 other bidders in that auction. This is the time that you need to be buying cards like this. The next time cards like this get a leg up, I truly believe that the unlimited power are going to be 10 grand a piece one day. I really do believe that. I stand by that statement, and it's just a matter of time. If you have been into these cards for the last 20 to 30 years, you've seen it over and over and over again. Just when you think cards like this can't get more expensive, they do. It happens every time. I remember when these cards were $200. I remember when they were $500. I remember when they were $1,000. I remember when they were $1,500. They got up to $2,000. They got up to a lot more expensive. Now they've retraced back a bit, but I guarantee you, with inflation, with people's incomes going up over time, with the people who want these cards getting into jobs where they have more disposable income, there's going to come a time when you cannot buy cards like this for 2 grand. I've seen unlimited power being sold nowadays by people who really need the money for $2,500 to $3,000. Those are fantastic prices. A lot less than you see on the online retailers. That's another thing that you really need to think about when you're looking at cards like this. You can save a ton of money by finding these in the right place. If you go to Card Kingdom and they want 5 grand for a Mox Emerald, you can probably find that equivalent grade Mox Emerald somewhere else for $3,000 to $3,500. I know because I did it. I did it with every single one of these. I did my research. I did my homework. I spent months and months, years, literally years, finding the best deal that I could on these cards. And the more and more times that happens and those deals get found and people like me buy cards like this for my collection, the scarcer and scarcer it is going to be to find these out in the wild. And something else that I wanted to touch on in this video is that setting a goal like this gives you a long-term perspective and direction that can really help you in uncertain times and give you a strong sense of direction with what you should be doing with your money and your time. And it'll also help you to not feel so tempted and FOMO'd by random stuff. Because there's chasing buyouts and trying to buy out cards, it's fun, and I'm not saying I've never done it. I mean, you saw my Willow Priestess video, but that was a relatively small amount of money and not something that I do often. And like I said in the video, I was doing it because I wanted to find a gem mint Willow Priestess. But moving along, not being focused and just stocking up on vintage or reserve list cards just kind of haphazardly and just building tons and tons and tons of cards, tons of copies of cards, binders and binders full of cards. It can be a little overwhelming when you sit back and look at it and you realize how much you have to go through if you ever do want to move into cards like this. which I really, like I've said, I really think you should focus on doing that. I like vintage and reserve list cards. I have binders, but what I'm talking about is, constantly buying reserve list vintage cards and not having a focused plan on what you're going to do with them. You really need to be focused on what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish in the long term. I know it's fun to buy tons of copies of cards, do buyouts and things like that, but honestly, chasing buyouts, it's very tricky. It can backfire on you. And let me tell you, as someone with a lot of experience, it is not easy to move tons and tons and tons of copies of Magic cards. It is a lot of work. And while I do recommend doing it, that's how I did this. I would just really strongly encourage you to have a long-term plan with what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish in your collection. Because, what you don't want to do is look back, 5 years later and have just binders and binders and boxes full of cards that you don't know what to do with. Try to always be in a state where you're trading things in, you're selling things, you're moving up, you're consolidating your collection. That is, in my opinion, the way to properly, build and invest in Magic the Gathering. I see a lot of people, even content creators who say, "Oh, I just stockpile cards and I'm never gonna sell them," and that I disagree with that approach. I think it leads to a lot of bad habits, a lot of bad spending habits, and it just leaves you very unfocused with what you're actually trying to do. Selling cards and building an eBay store, selling on Facebook, trading in cards and trading up in store credit. You need to build experience doing that for a couple of reasons. It allows you to consolidate the money that you have invested into fewer high-end blue chip cards. And also, and this is something that I think is really important for anybody watching this, especially newer collectors, you need to, as much as you can, not have such an emotional attachment to your cards, to your collection. I know people who they literally cannot part with cards. They don't sell anything. And and I know, because I've gone through it too, it's because there's an emotional connection to the cards. And while, of course, I have an emotional connection to these cards, I have a bunch of copies of Zirlin of the Claw. I talked about that card a year ago. I had bought a whole bunch of them. I have an emotional attachment to the card because it was one of the best specs I've ever had. But all those copies that I have now, I'm going to say goodbye to them. I'm not going to hold on to them forever. You don't want to let it get in the way of, making smart financial decisions over the long term. There's a lot of cards that I got a great deal on, and it was hard, to part with that card. But in the end, I parted with that card at a great price. I made a good profit, and I moved that profit into better cards. That's what you need to think about. As hard as it can be to sell cards sometimes, you have to do it because it trains you to not be so connected to your cards that you can't even think about selling them. You want to be selling cards. You want to be trading in cards. You want to be consolidating. You want to be working toward a long-term goal like this. And maybe your long-term goal isn't a set of 5 Moxes, but you know what? Maybe your long-term goal is, a play set of your favorite dual land, or, a dual land in 9.5 condition or something like that. Whatever your goal is, try to break that down into smaller and smaller chunks that you can achieve over the months, over the year that you have time to invest. And sell those cards that you got at a good price. Trade in those cards that have increased in value. Consolidate your collection into higher end, blue chip cards that have a solid foundation. You don't have to play the FOMO game. You don't have to play the buyout game. You know, that stuff, it's fun. I participate in it to a certain extent. But you know what? I always have in the back of my mind what I'm trying to achieve long term. And I don't let myself get too emotionally connected to the cards that I have. And I'm always in a constant state of buying and selling, trading in, trading up, and working toward a long-term goal, because I don't want to be the person who turns around and has a closet full of stuff that would take years to liquidate, hopefully at a decent price. You know, when you've got a good profit on a card, I highly recommend, you don't have to sell your whole collection every month. I'm not talking about that, but just get in the habit of taking the profit that you've made on cards and consolidating that profit into even better cards. You will feel great about it in the long run, I assure you. It's a lot cooler to have, you know, one card worth thousands of dollars than a binder of random crap that's all $10, $20 a piece that just takes absolutely forever to move. You know, break it up into smaller chunks, move that inventory, and consolidate into blue chip cards. So anyway, let's wrap it up here. Been rambling for a while, but I just wanted to share this experience with you. The full set of 5 Moxes, the childhood dream has come true. And it took a lot of time, took a lot of work, took a lot of effort, but in the end, absolutely worth it. And you know what? If I can do it, if this guy can do it, you can do it too. So whatever your dream card is, work toward it, build toward it, focus on it. Trade in the cards that you have that have increased in value. Sell the cards that you have a good profit on, and just work at it, chip away at it. And then you know what? I guarantee you in a few months or a year or something, you're going to have that card and you're going to look back and you're going to say, man, that was totally worth it. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you. Wherever you are in the world of Magic, I hope you're having an awesome day. Until next time, have a great one.